Oh yeah, Greta. You know what time it is.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what time it is?
It's the Tolkien Road time. Yes.
Didn't see that one coming.
I can't pull anything over on you, man. All right, yeah, this is a long theme song. I think we realized that last time.
Yeah, we did.
So go ahead and slowly take it down. Take down the volume.
Okay.
With my fancy soundboard here. It's fading away. I'm going to let it explode.
Are we?
Hey, this is episode 155, The Hobbit, Chapter 9, Barrels Out of Bond.
Out of Bond.
Yes.
James Bond.
Yep. Sure.
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
James Bond.
Barrels.
That's probably what Tolkien had in mind.
Probably.
All right. Well, good opening. Good opening.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
So here we are. Barrels Out of Bond, Hobbit, Chapter 9. Yeah, John, you already said that. Okay, got it. Let's just let's dive right in. Let's start the way we always want to start, by thanking our patrons for their support.
Yes.
Our patreon.com/TolkienRoad people. The fine folks who love this show so much that they find a way to financially support us. That's awesome.
So awesome.
And I want to give a special shout out to our newest patron since the last episode, who would be Daniel Delaney, Bethany Joy Engler, Andrew Thomas, and Andrew Herbert. So
awesome.
Right
you guys
on.
rock.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
By the way, we have hit our goal for one guaranteed episode per month, and we are on the way to 2 or more. So we've still got a good ways to go there. So, hey, we're trying to crank them out as we can, but we would love to be at the point where it's just not even something we have to really think about, because, you know, it's really like, because you guys make it worth our time, and it's so easy. All you have to do is go over to patreon.com/TolkienRoad and pledge $1 per episode. And if you don't want to give more than like 4 or 5, if you don't want to give more than just $1 per episode, or, you know, $1 per month, you can actually sign up and just say $1, but limit me to 1 episode, and then you'll still get the episodes, but you'll only be charged for that one. Everybody gets the episodes, but this is just your way of saying, hey, I support what you guys do. I'm really grateful, and, you know, here's a little bit of financial support, whatever I can give. It's huge. It's huge, because this does, Greta, as you know, as I've said many times before, this does take us, you know, a good amount of time to produce.
Oh, yeah.
And we're working people. We're working people. At least I am. I work so that Greta can sit on the couch all the time and eat bonbons. And watch soap operas. So
excuse me, this time of year I'm watching basketball.
That's
not
true.
Soap operas.
Oh yeah,
get it right.
You're wearing your your Georgetown shirt, right? You're such a big Georgetown fan, right?
You suck.
Oh, sorry.
No, not George. Well, okay. My dad went to Georgetown, so I can't really badmouth it that much.
Oh yeah, you can. I've heard you.
But no. Villanova, baby. All the way, all the time.
Total Nova fan.
Total. They play today.
Yeah.
And so I'm representing.
She actually went to school at Villanova, so she's not just like jumping on the bandwagon because they won the national championship a couple of times in the last couple of years.
It's true. Right? I'm legit.
We've been rooting for Villanova for years.
Before it was not cool, actually.
Before it was cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Before it was not cool?
Well, before it was...
We were rooting for her before it got uncool. Back when it was cool the first time, and then it was uncool again, and we kept rooting for them.
We kept rooting.
And then, yeah.
We've always been rooting.
Yeah.
Despite the coolness factor.
So, hey, one thing I want to ask people to do before we jump into talking about the chapter this week.
Okay.
Reviews. We had a little conversation about reviews this week. There's a lot of you all who have done the awesome thing, and you've gone over and said said really nice things about us, like on iTunes or Spotify or other places like that.
Yep.
And
we really appreciate that.
Man, that's awesome. Like, every time we read one of those, every time we get a nice note, and especially when we hear something that's like out in public, when people are like, this show is great, I love this, that just makes us feel so good. I mean,
it really, really does.
Yep. We appreciate that. And, I know sometimes we kind of tease each other and we come across sarcastic, but like whenever we get one of those, I always forward it to Greta, and I'm like, here's another nice thing somebody said about us. And it just puts the wind in our sails.
It really does. It's very encouraging.
Here's the thing, though, and this is just weird to me. I want to have an honest conversation with you all about this, all right? So most people who take the time to rate us end up giving us 5 stars. And so there's a few 4 stars in there, and that's cool. I understand that not everything is going to be 5 stars in this world, and I'm not out there. Now, I got to think that if you've listened this far into the podcast, that you're probably we're probably a 5-star podcast for you. But the thing that really blows my mind is that there are people out there who have rated us 1 star. And I get that people may not, like our podcast may not be their cup of tea.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But I'm like, why take the time to rate us 1 star?
Right.
Like, why bother doing that? Hey, send us feedback if you don't like it. I'll listen to you. If you send me an honest letter and say, here's what I don't like about your show, I'll listen to you. And I might, if you got some good points, I might actually try to incorporate them. But we don't never get any feedback like that. So it's weird to me.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm thinking like there's somebody out there like trolling us.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, well, what have we done to offend thee? I get it. Like I've rated, I'm not saying that everything only deserves 5 stars. And if you're not going to give something 5 stars, then, you should just shut up. That's not what I'm saying. But like when I rate a product as something other than 5 stars, if I give it, 3 stars or 2 stars or 1 star, I'm giving it a star because I feel like it's like I spent money on it.
Right.
And then it didn't follow through on what it said it was going to deliver.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, our podcast is free.
It's free.
Are we poisoning the Tolkien world out there? Because if we are, please let me know. Like, let us know how we're doing it.
Yes.
Are we, what is it that we're poisoning out there that leads people to leave us 1-star reviews? So I don't know. It's if you are one of those people, like, I'd love to hear from you. And not through angry comments on iTunes.
Constructive criticism is always welcome. Honestly.
Somebody left a book about us because we say a lot, and I'm like, every podcast I listen to like this says a lot, because you know what? It's not easy to get in front of a microphone and just start talking, especially when you're trying to be thoughtful and true about something.
Right.
And I'm not a pro. Right? Neither are you.
Neither am I.
Right?
Nope.
We're not late night talk show hosts who are polished and who do this all the time and have spent their careers learning how to gracefully like conduct conversations and interviews and how to handle like do stand-up comedy like routines where you know what to say when you're when you're at a loss for words, right?
Right.
So sorry. I mean, like, sorry that I say a lot when I'm trying to be thoughtful, when I'm trying to consider what I might want to say. So, yeah, I guess more than anything, I just want to ask all those people out there who listen. There's a lot of you have gone ahead and rated us, and I really appreciate that. But if you haven't, and you're one of these people that's been listening to us for a long time, it would be huge if you went and gave us, and because I got to think, if you've been listening to us for a long time, you're a 5-star rating, right? And we kind of need some help counteracting the people out there, the negative Nellies out there who are out there giving us 1 stars for whatever reason. I know, the crazy thing is that there are people out there who, whether it's weird to me because it's like, are there like people on other podcasts who like are competitive with us and they want to drag us down so they can look better, or like, because people do that kind of stuff out on the internet these days, right? If they don't like something about, like there's this whole thing about the new Marvel movie, right? Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen it, Captain Marvel. I haven't seen it or anything like that. But there's people who actually went out of their way, right, to hammer this movie with bad audience reviews, like to kind of like it was like a conspiracy of bad audience reviews, right, in order to drag it down because they didn't like some of the things that the star said politically on some talk shows or something like that, right? So, it's like that's just really wrong. That's a really wrong way of going about these things. So if we are doing something that in your mind truly warrants a 1 star, if we're putting out there bad info, if we're saying things about Tolkien and about his works that aren't true, that you take a big issue with enough that you go and bother rating us 1 star, then let us know.
Yeah.
Like, send us an email and let us know specifically, because we don't want to do that. We intend to keep podcasting Okay? So let us know what we're saying, and if we agree with you, which I'm an open-minded guy, we'll hear you out. But it's not doing anybody any good to just give us 1-star reviews, right? And so so that's the call to action for the negative Nellies out there, right? And I promise I won't call you that if you've got real, if you've got real issues, if you come and talk to me mano a mano, right? But for all those out there who are listeners and who send us the nice notes and everything, even if you've never communicated with us, you can do this anonymously, right? You can just go and into the iTunes store, into the podcast app on your iPhone, whatever it is you listen on, and you can just leave. All you got to do is tap 5 stars, right? Yeah. And then you've helped us out, right? Because iTunes reads that algorithm and decides how to rank different podcasts, right? So it's just one thing you can do to help us get the word out. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and not that it should be this way, but the negative reviews, the 1-star reviews, kind of drag us down more than the 5-star reviews build us up. So we need more 5-star reviews to make up for like a 1-star review, because they really do. And I do struggle with taking things personally, and something that I'm working on. But it's really hard, especially when you put your heart and your soul into something, and both John and I are pretty private people. Yeah. And so putting ourselves out there, it's not the easiest thing in the world for us.
Yeah.
But we do it, and we love doing it because we love Tolkien, and we want to share that love as a means of completing our joy, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, all that is to say is this is a labor of love, and we, just as much as the 5 stars build us up, the 1 stars really bring us down. So if you love us, please let us know, because it really does put the wind in our sails.
Absolutely. It is literally like on your iPhone. If you've got an iPhone and you listen on the podcast app, it literally takes you like 5 seconds to do this. You go to the library on your podcast app, you pick our podcast, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you tap 5 stars. That's all you got to do. And you can be a big boon to us in that way, right? If all the people out there who listen to the show and have binge listened to it and love it were to hop on there and give us 5-star reviews after listening to this episode, that would be like that would mean the world to us, and it would really help us just get the word out there more, and about the podcast. So but yeah, and I hope we didn't come across too whiny. I just wanted to, I've kind of resolved in this ever since we, resolved to continue down the road here about a month and a half ago. I resolved to just be a little more straightforward and honest with our listeners, and and talking about these sorts of things, because that's the reality of the world. I wish we lived in a world where you just kind of like spontaneously, when people like something, they just, they gave 5 stars. But I get it. There's lots of podcasts I listen to which I probably haven't rated, but I'm going to resolve to go and rate those, because I'm like, and you know what, I'm going to give them all? I'm going to give all 5 stars because I listen to them all the time.
Right.
And I wouldn't give something a 1-star or a 2-star or a 3-star unless I had a real problem with it. Like there was something that was not just like, I'm not really a fan of this podcast. I would only do that if it was like, there's something wrong, like objectively wrong with this podcast.
Right.
So anyway, that's probably enough said.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just really appreciate all of you that listen. I know we've heard from some of you, but I know we haven't heard from all of you. But it would really mean the world to us if you feel like we deserve a 5-star review, if you would leave us one on iTunes.
Yeah.
Because we really do love doing what we do. Mm-hmm. And every little bit helps to kind of propel us down the road, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well said. All right. So
now, even though we said we were going to jump in like 10 minutes ago, we're actually going to do it now, right?
We got rolling, right? You got a little we got a little passionate there. So, well, let's say a little something about Latron Prime, or go by Latron Prime.
Oh yeah, what's going on with Latron these days?
Actually, nothing new since the last thing we did last. So we did the video. If you guys want to watch us doing a video, you can go over to the Facebook page and watch that, or you can go to YouTube and find our video on the latest from Latron Prime. The big thing is, and there's an episode on the podcast about this. The Lord of the Rings on Prime show is actually going to be Numenor on Prime, right? So Numenor Second Age story is apparently what we're facing. So they're still being very cryptic about everything, but that seems to be what they're indicating, is that we're going to have a show about Numenor in the Second Age. So that's really exciting.
That is super exciting.
Much more to talk about. And hey, after we talk about the chapter, we'll come back. We need to talk. There's a new trailer for the Tolkien film that's out, so we need to watch that.
Wait, has it come out already?
Yeah, it came out about a week ago, actually. So we'll watch that and do a live reaction.
Sounds good.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right.
Stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, barrels out of bond.
Barrels out of bond.
So, Greta.
John.
I feel like I talked way too much on that video last time, so do you want to start us off? Kind of lead the way here?
You're talking about the Latron Prime video?
Latron Prime.
Latron Prime video?
That's right.
Yeah, I know. No, sure, I'll start us off. Which it's fine.
I kind of popped that on you, so if you don't want to.
I didn't mind. No, I'm happy to talk. You got notes for me? Oh yeah, you do. Okay, so barrels out of bond. We last left off. Just as a quick review, we left off the.
Oh, it happened again, Greta. The thing crashed. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to pause and save this just so it doesn't do that again to us. Yeah, I need to figure out a better system for this, because that's the second week in a row that it's done the whole system overload. I'm using GarageBand here, and blah. Okay.
Not cool, GarageBand.
Not cool at all.
Not cool.
All right, so yeah, barrels out of bond. So the Wood Elves.
Well, yes, the Wood Elves. We have picked up after the dwarves and Bilbo have just escaped from the spiders, and Thorin was taken prisoner,
right,
by the Wood Elves already. The dwarves and Bilbo don't know that yet, but we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Bilbo and the dwarves are captured by the Wood Elves.
Yeah,
and they're dragged to this cave. But Bilbo, being the smart hobbit that he is, uses his ring and becomes invisible, so the dwarves don't know that he is with them.
Right on, Bilbo.
Yes, that was a brilliant move, if I do say so myself.
Yep.
So they all end up in the Wood Elves' cave before the king of the Wood Elves, and just like Thorin, the dwarves refuse to give him any information.
Yeah.
So they are all thrown into separate cells in the caves of the Wood Elves, except for Bilbo, because they still don't know he's there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just kind of wandering around. Invisible.
This thought just occurred to me. I didn't even have this on our list of notes to talk about, but it's odd to me that Bilbo, because this is like the second or third time he's put on the ring in Mirkwood, right?
Yes.
It's odd to me that Bilbo, because Sauron at this time
is when I was
in
reading.
Mirkwood.
Yes.
That's why Gandalf left them to go south, because he's going to Dol Guldur.
Right.
Right? So it's surprising to me that Sauron doesn't we have no indication that Sauron senses him. And I know that the book was written before Lord of the Rings and before the plot was all worked out, and Tolkien had not planned for this to be Sauron's ring when he wrote The Hobbit. But it's interesting to me that we never really hear anything about that in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
That we never hear, like, Bilbo, the couple of times he put on the ring, put himself in great danger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because whenever Frodo puts on the ring, it's like he makes himself visible to Sauron.
Right.
Yeah,
that thought did occur to me, because he has the ring on for days. I mean, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's invisible for this whole chapter.
Don't they say like a week or two?
Yeah, they may have, actually.
I think they say, because they say, I didn't mark it, but they talk about, sorry for the weird sound that's my thinking sound.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they did. Maybe it was. I mean, I know it was a long time. I mean, longer than he's had it on before.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. I remember thinking, why is the ring not really taking a toll on him?
Yeah.
So I felt like, especially with the length of time that he had it on, it would.
Well, I think we hear, the ring does take a toll on him, but it's, I guess for me, it's like his proximity to Sauron here. And that we never hear anything about like the danger he was putting himself in by putting on the ring here. I mean, it didn't have to be there, but it's just he puts it on and he wears it for so long in the forest that it's surprising that we never hear anything about that later on.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's the only
I
thing.
totally agree. Yeah.
Anyway,
but I wonder, does that speak to just because, like we said, Frodo is always. I mean, he can have it on for like a second.
mm-hmm.
And he is in danger.
Yeah.
Right? So I just wonder if that just speaks to the amount, like how much Sauron has grown in power between now and then.
I think there's something probably to that, because it talks about Sauron is much more, and it talks about in Lord of the Rings, like his power has grown, and he eventually declares himself openly. Right, like they're not sure who he is right now.
Right.
All they know is this like malevolent force is coming back to Dol Guldur, but they don't realize until later on that it's actually Sauron. Right.
Right. Yes.
So I think you're probably right about that as well. And maybe I don't know. It seems like if he could get the ring, he would. But maybe his powers aren't great enough to sense that at this point that Bilbo, that somebody nearby has the ring,
and is using it.
So
yeah.
It's an interesting question.
I would also like to say that I've read The Hobbit before, but I've forgotten a lot of it. So it's been fun to reread it. But I didn't remember the Wood Elves being bad guys. Like, I thought I liked them. And I don't understand why they're treating the dwarves so unkindly. Are they just mad that they're trespassing in their realm? Is that all it comes down to?
Well, there is a long history of distrust between
elves and dwarves.
Elves and dwarves, right?
True.
So, and I think these elves are very territorial, right? I think elves are very territorial, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As a people, they are, and I think too, like in these more ancient times, like you're a lot more skeptical of somebody like walking on your property because the world you're surrounded by danger in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in their mind, this is our realm and you're trespassing here.
Yeah. That makes sense. That does. But just earlier, several chapters earlier, you have them visiting the elves in Rivendell.
Yeah.
And they're warmly welcomed there.
Well, that's because Gandalf is with them.
Is friends with around them. Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess I just had a more positive view of the Wood Elves. Maybe just from reading Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I was just surprised.
And these are less. I think stuff happens. So, and we'll get into that more later on in this book. But these are, they aren't like Elrond, right? Elrond is of the. He's half elven, but he's of the Noldor. He's of the Calaquendi. Right. These woodland elves are actually the Morroquendi, right? They're the ones who, I think that's right. I gotta go back and reread my Morroquendi and Calaquendi. Look at my elf table. But these are the elves that never saw the light of Valinor, right? These are the peoples that never saw the light of Valinor.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Although I believe, because remember, the king we're dealing with is Thranduil, who's the father of Legolas, right?
Yes.
And I believe he actually married a Calaquendi. I believe Legolas's mother was either Sindarin, so a gray elven, or was a Calaquendi, but I can't remember that. I didn't look that up. Ugh. Now I gotta look it up.
Sorry, you probably weren't expecting me to bring this up.
No, it's all good. It's fine.
Okay.
We're diving in. We're making all the connections. That's what we do on this podcast. That's why we're a 5-star podcast. Oh, yeah. So, let's see. Legolas was the prince of the woodland realm of Mirkwood. His grandfather Orofair was the Sindar of Doriath, and his father Thranduil was king of Mirkwood. Thranduil is a Sindarin elf of Doriath, so he is a gray elf. So they're kind of, I don't know. I mean, the elves have look. The elves have gone through a lot. Okay, they've gone through a lot of danger themselves.
Yeah,
and things weren't always so good with the dwarves. Remember, the dwarves were the ones who they killed Luthien's father, right? King King Thingol, right?
That's right. I'd forgotten.
I forgot they murdered him in cold blood. Now he was being a real jerk, and that's why that's part of the reason they murdered him, not to excuse them, but they did, right? So there's this historic bad blood between elves and
right.
Sindarin, right?
Yes. Okay.
So that's one thing. That's another thing to remember. Now, every time we have an issue like this come up on the podcast, we got some of our like people who know more about Tolkien than you and I do who come at me and they're like, but don't forget about this. So, hey, let me know those things and we'll mention them next time. Like we always do. Like we've gotten good about doing is going back to our correspondence and talking about that. Actually, I'm going to mention it now. David Bigwood, one of our patrons and a longtime listener and one of the most educated like Tolkien people I know. He actually had a really interesting insight about the last chapter. And so shout out to David for this. He said, just this year, rereading The Hobbit, I noticed for the first time the many parallels between Bilbo and Beren and Mirkwood. Both fight spiders, the offspring of Ungoliant. Then they both enter an underground elven kingdom. Both kingdoms are in a forest. Both are protected against unwelcome visitors by magic. Both heroes enter in spite of the magic barriers. That seems like a lot of parallels in a short space. Of course, the stories before and after are very different, but for a while, Bilbo was treading the same path as Beren. I thought that was really interesting.
That is really, really interesting.
Yeah. I had never made that connection before, but I mean, I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I could totally see Tolkien like writing The Hobbit and thinking, like having Beren in the back of it, because nobody knew about Beren for a long time, but having Beren, because that was, he'd written the first version of Beren and Luthien 20 years before he wrote The Hobbit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought that was really cool insight, the parallels between the two.
Yeah, I really like that.
So
that's good.
Great insight there,
Thanks,
David.
David.
But the kingdom he's talking, so the forest and the king he's talking about is Thingol. The kingdom he's talking about is Doriath, and what's the name of the name of the place that they all live in Doriath? The name of the palace, I forget now. I won't waste time looking that up, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It's the Thousand Caves, whatever. Menegroth, is that it? Anyway, yeah, it's a really interesting insight. And so Bilbo, I don't know. I've totally lost track of my thought now. Blah 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 blah.
Yes, but one thing I think that is that the Wood Elves do well is they seem to at least take good care of their prisoners.
Yeah,
I mean they're feeding them, and actually, doesn't it say at the beginning of the chapter that the dwarves are almost happy to be captured at this point because they're just tired and they're hungry and they're lost. And even though they're in prison, at least they're getting food and drink.
Yes.
So, could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be a lot worse. If they were in the hands of orcs, they would probably be a lot uglier, right?
Much uglier. They would be the dinner instead of being fed a dinner, probably.
True. It seems the elves are really hoping that they're going to get to the bottom of the secret, and the dwarves are all worried that they're going to, that if they tell them why they're really there, then the elves are going to demand a ransom from them once they get the treasure, right?
Right.
Or they're going to go try to take the treasure themselves.
Yes, and that also
maybe they should have done that. Maybe they should have been like, fine, I guess this is the only way we can escape. You guys go on expedition. We'll stay here and guard the palace. You guys go take on the dragon. Oh, we forgot about
did
we mention the dragon?
Oh, sorry, our bad.
Right.
No, I thought that was interesting when I kind of found myself thinking, why don't they just tell them? Like, maybe they could make them allies. I just feel like, but again, it's that whole, I feel like it really shows a lot of the character of the dwarves, of how distrustful they are. Like they won't even entertain the thought of
Right.
saying maybe the Wood Elves don't have destructive designs on this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could come to some kind of agreement and alliance. But they're so greedy and they're so just distrustful. I don't know. I just really felt like they should have been more forthright, but
Yeah, they definitely don't seem as, as upright and forthright as the people of Rivendell.
no.
There's definitely no Tra-la-la-lolly songs.
There's
here.
no Tra-la-la-lolly songs.
Yeah.
But we will learn that they do sing songs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty clever songs.
Sure.
Even though they don't include Tra-la-la-lolly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But thank Iluvatar, they don't include Tra-la-la-lolly.
I happen to enjoy Tra-la-lollies now and then.
Well, okay.
So we can just agree to disagree
Well,
on that.
you can just keep on enjoying them. Just don't enjoy them around me.
Deal.
All right. So, I feel like there's a part in here where it talks about Mr. Baggins alone and unaided, right?
Yes.
And I feel like that's becoming a very strong theme in this part of the book, right? The Bilbo, first he saves him from the spiders by himself.
Yep.
And remember, Bilbo was the one that really got caught by the trolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early on in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so here he is 2 chapters in a row being the one that's responsible for saving the dwarves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A nice little
interesting-
twist of fate here.
interesting little development for old Bilbo there.
Oh, and here it is, by the way. It does say after a week or two of this sneaking sort of life. So yeah, he had the ring on for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little bit longer.
Yeah, I knew that was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but I think the most important thing about this chapter, Greta, is that it's a strong reminder that wine solves all problems.
PSA.
Mm-hmm.
For our listeners 21 and above.
And knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, wine solves all problems.
Wine is definitely Bilbo's friend here.
And especially if you're stuck in an underground elven dungeon.
Yep.
And need to get out.
Mm-hmm.
You just say to yourself, wine, where
But
are you?
Not just any wine. It's got to be Dorwinian
Dorwinian wine.
wine.
Did you find yourself wondering where Dorwinian was?
I did. Actually.
I did too. I've read this chapter numerous times, and I've never wondered to myself, what is Dorwinian? But then I was like, I've read all this stuff from Tolkien now. Where is Dorwinian? Where in the world is Dorwinian?
I really hope you're going to tell us.
I am.
Because I'm very curious now.
Dorwinion is on the northwest of the Sea of Rune. Right?
I have no sense of direction, so that does not help me.
Okay, so let's see. Grab one of my copies of Lord of the Rings up there. One of the, like 2 towers grab 2 towers. All right. So the Sea of Rune. If you look at the map of all of Middle-earth, the Sea of Rune is way over here. So they're here in Mirkwood, right? Okay.
Yes.
And the Sea of Rune is way to the east.
Aha.
It's way to the east, in the middle, and so Dorwinion is located on the northwest shore of the Sea of Rune.
I see that now.
Yeah. So
is it?
It's pretty far away from where they are, but it's connected to. It makes sense that that's where the wine comes from, because they're putting these barrels onto the river, and the river running eventually connects to the Sea of Rune. So the Forest River traverses the river, and then it meets up with the river running, which comes down from the Lonely Mountain, and then the river running eventually runs into the Sea of Rune.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's actually not part of Mirkwood, or it is?
No, it's not part of
It's
Mirkwood.
not part of Mirkwood.
It's
Okay.
it's a little far away from Mirkwood, actually.
Okay.
So that's where Dorwinion is.
And they're really good at making wine there.
Right, they are. Now, no one knows if this is a place of elves or of men.
Okay.
But they do it does seem to have some kind of connection to Numenor and to Gondor because of the name. So there's a really good I'll link to this article on Tolkien Gateway that kind of runs through what we know about Dorwinion. Not a whole lot. I mean, that's the big thing. It's not really mentioned a whole lot, but they've been able to gather from other indicators, other sources that Dorwinion was on the northwest shore of the Sea of Rune.
Got it.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Good to know.
there you go.
Thanks.
Geography lesson over.
Finally. Gosh.
Yeah. All right. So
there's something kind of special about this wine.
Yeah.
It's like extra strong,
Apparently.
right?
Puts elves to sleep.
Puts elves to sleep. And those elves, they can handle their liquor.
They can.
So it must be super strong.
They, I mean, let's these are the Legolas elves, right? I mean,
Right.
Legolas is like, can walk on top of snow.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Wait,
maybe that's just the movie.
can't we all walk on top of snow?
Well, when everybody else is like buried deep in it.
Oh, you mean like deep snow.
Yeah.
Got it. Without snowshoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he was just wearing snowshoes.
Invisible snowshoes.
Invisible snowshoes, yeah. I'm going to start a band called Invisible Snowshoes.
I want credit for the name.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So they fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
The chief guard and...
Well, this becomes Bilbo's whole plan, right? He's like, okay, they like their wine, and they send the barrels that the wine came in back down the river
empty. Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's our way out, right? Because it goes through this portcullis, right? Down through this long, dark passage, and it meets up with the Forest River, which
Right.
takes it all the way down to the Long Lake,
Right.
right?
Lakeland.
And to Lake Town.
Lake
So-
Town.
And so you've got the Forest River meets up with the river running right there at the Long Lake, and then runs down to the Sea of Rune eventually. So
It's a pretty good plan.
yeah, wine solves all problems.
Yeah.
So, and in this case, that's especially true because not only the barrel is going to be their salvation, but he's going to use the wine. Well, he's not going to use the wine, but he knows that the wine makes the guard, the butler, and the butler, and then the guard, the turnkey, makes them sleepy.
Right.
So it'll be his time to steal the keys,
Steal the keys.
let them out,
Release the dwarves.
take the money, and run.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a brilliant plan.
Yeah.
And it was kind of I had a funny mental image of like little invisible Bilbo running around this dark cave, like
Mhm.
to and fro, because the dwarves they're not imprisoned close together.
No.
So he's running all around, releasing these dwarves, and the dwarves are having a really hard time being quiet because that's how dwarves roll.
Right.
And so Bilbo is just doing his best to keep them all quiet and keep them on task. And then once he's done all of this, and then tells the dwarves his plan, they give him a hard time.
I know.
I was like, "What is wrong with you people?"
Well, he had a good comeback, didn't he? Right. Oh, he's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll just go put you back in your cages.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay. You don't want to do this, sir? Go back to your prison cell.
We just take our chances on another opportunity. Not this, but something else coming along. Right.
Which is probably never going to happen
Right.
because this is like everything. The stars aligned here
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So I like, but you can see Bilbo in all this gaining confidence, right? He's
Yes.
already beat the spiders and rescued the dwarves, and this is another case where he's like, you guys may not like my plan, but you don't have a better one.
Exactly.
So we got to act
Exactly.
now, or probably not act at all.
Yeah. And it even says that the dwarves are really beginning to respect him, especially Thorin. I think it calls him out, especially saying that he's actually beginning to, Gandalf's prediction is coming true,
Right.
that they are beginning to trust and depend on Bilbo.
Absolutely. Well, Thorin seems especially proud of him in this chapter.
Yes.
And Thorin's been imprisoned a little longer too. So
He's probably more desperate to get out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's nice to see.
It is. It is
At
really
least
nice.
at least somebody's getting some appreciation for old Bilbo.
I don't know. I mean, he's really putting himself out there.
I'm a little disappointed this chapter by the lack of Bomber jokes.
There's none.
Yeah. Like they'd all of a sudden just decided to lay off old Bomber.
Maybe Tolkien started to feel a little bad for ratting on Bomber so much, so he decided to give it a rest for a chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of surprising because you think about the whole like fitting into the barrel kind of thing would be the perfect time for a bomber joke.
I was thinking the same thing.
But hey, they held back, so good for them.
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
But I kind of bad me. I kind of enjoy the bomber jokes.
Well, they're funny.
Well, it's like why you enjoy Chris Farley's comedy, right? It's like when he gets real excited and he falls on something, it's funny.
It is funny.
It makes you laugh.
Yes. And we like to laugh. Laughter is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Good medicine.
So
Bilbo begins to pack all
right
the
on
dwarves into the barrels, give some extra straw and stuffing so they don't rattle around too much. These must be big barrels.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the dwarves are not super tall, but I mean, some of them are not short, super short, and some of them are rather round.
What's the old-fashioned name for a person who made barrels? Was it a cooper? Is that where the name cooper came from?
I'm really not sure.
I
thought they were just called barrel makers. No?
There was never that simple.
Oh, okay.
Cooper. Let's see. Cooper. Profession. A cooper is a person trained to make wooden casks, barrels, vats, buckets, tubs, troughs, and other staved containers from timber that was usually heated or steamed to make it pliable. There you go.
Well, look how smart you are. Good job.
I'm smart. So the thing that's interesting, whenever I think about barrels or casks and putting wine into them, is like, how do they make sure that it doesn't seep out? Because it's a liquid.
Right. Yes. They must be really well.
Well, I think they must seal them somehow with like pitch or I don't know whatever. Because I don't know anything about this because people don't do this anymore.
Oh, it's kind of sad.
It's kind of I mean, there's a few people in the world that do this kind of thing, but everything's mass produced now, and people. I sit at a keyboard and type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a website cooper.
You are.
Yeah. That's a really bad analogy.
But no, it is pretty amazing when you think about all the ways that the liquid could. Because there's so many pieces put together. It seems like there would be lots of exits, especially for liquid. So especially
on such a long journey.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you would think, and not only would you wouldn't want stuff getting out, but you also wouldn't want stuff getting in.
Right.
Nothing worse than river water getting into your wine.
Ugh.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be yucky.
That would ruin the wine.
It totally would. So that must have been you had to be good at your job. So these barrels are, they might be big enough for the dwarves, but I'm sure they're much less than comfortable.
Right. Yeah. Well, he puts all the straw and everything in them to kind of make them a little bit more comfortable for the journey, but still, you're getting tossed around. I'd probably throw up if I was stuck in a barrel riding down the river.
Imagine. That would be really bad.
It would be terrifying, like you're going to hit something, just all of a sudden, like smash into something.
Mm-hmm.
And because you think about it, it's like whitewater rafting in the blind, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But then again, like I don't know, you probably know that they do this all the time. So apparently the barrels survive this trip normally. It's a normal thing for them to survive this trip.
Right.
But you probably do still take some bumps and bruises along the way.
Right.
And but yeah, just like the shaking, like the moving around in the dark without being able to see the horizon. Like that's what gets me. That's what causes me to get motion sick is like not being able to see the horizon.
Right, not being able to spot a solid.
But let's face it, the dwarves are pretty tough. So, they probably don't get motion sick.
Yeah, they're probably fine. What I think is so funny though is that Bilbo takes all this care, even after the dwarves give him a hard time about his plan. He takes all this time to make sure they're all taken care of and comfortable and sealed in tight and all the things so they can escape. And then right before it's go time, he's like, I'm not in a barrel.
Yeah.
I thought that, it was kind of stupid, but also it shows how selfless he is.
Right.
He put everybody before him.
I know.
I thought that was sweet.
Good old Bilbo.
Good old Bilbo.
And so he has to, go ahead.
I was going to say, but he still manages to get out.
Yeah.
So, he just kind of clings on to that's pretty brave.
Yeah. I might prefer that way more than actually being inside the barrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he was invisible. And So yeah, they make their escape, and man, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guard or that butler the next day when the king finds out that that they all escaped because I was drunk.
At least they returned his keys. I thought that was thoughtful.
No.
Because
I guess, but it's not like it's going to do him a whole lot of good.
Well, no, but you think if lost keys on top of letting all the dwarves escape, I don't know. Maybe it's worse that he has his keys, because then they'll just assume he's the one that let him out.
Maybe, or they might just assume that some kind of magic was worked. I don't know.
Magic.
I can't remember if this comes up later in the book again or not. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they manage their escape, and then what's interesting is they wind up. So eventually the barrels come to rest, and it's still kind of like elf territory where they come to rest, and I'd forgotten that. They come to rest just kind of in these shallows, and then it's right near where the forest river connects to the long lake and the river running.
Right. Okay.
So it's like a first stop on the way back to Dorwinion.
But then they're pushed off again.
Yeah, it's a first stop. Eventually, I think they kind of huddle them together so they can, because they're getting. I think the forest river is a smaller stream, and then they're getting into the bigger river now, so they want to keep them together.
Right, make a raft out of them.
Yeah, and I don't know if somebody tends to them all the way back down the river, but probably because you're in more open land, you don't want people coming in stealing your barrels.
That's
barrel
true.
thieves.
Yeah,
darn barrel thieves.
Yeah, they're no good.
No,
but that's where we're left off.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if anybody has actually survived the escape.
Right,
but we know that they have escaped.
Yes, we do.
They're no longer in the Elven dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we do find out that Bilbo had some other, adventures once they got to the, he's keeping his ring on, trying to run around and, figure out what's going on when he gets to this little elf village.
Yeah.
So, but Tolkien says, I'm not going to tell you too much about that.
And what's funny is he's eventually found out because he's leaving wet footprints everywhere.
And sneezing.
Dripping and sneezing.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Probably caught a cold.
I know.
Oh, Bilbo.
Poor Bilbo.
But at least he saved the dwarves once again.
Yes, he did. All right. Anything else about the chapter?
I think we beat this one like a barrel.
Okay. I didn't know barrels were things you beat.
Your drum. Can't they be drums?
Oh, barrel drum.
Barrel drum. We beat it like a barrel drum.
Okay.
Boom.
Yes, we did. You heard it here from Greta first. That's what we did. All right. So what do we do? Do we do haiku or do we do the Tolkien trailer first?
We do haiku.
Haiku?
Because that's part of the chapter that we just talked about.
Oh, good point.
And then we don't have to switch topics and then go back.
Good point.
Yes, I know. That's why you have me on here, right? Because I'm full of good ideas. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
Boom. There's that barrel drum again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we doing paper, rock, scissors? Or rock, paper, scissors?
Rock, paper, scissors.
See?
Yeah.
You've corrupted me. Now I say it wrong.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I win.
Yeah, you do.
All right, I want you to go first.
Okay. I will. I came prepared. I don't think you've still written yours, have you?
I actually have.
Oh, okay. When we started the episode, she hadn't written it. All right.
I'm a mean multitasker.
Yeah, well. Mean. You put the mean in multitasking.
You know I do.
Yeah. All right. Stuck after a slog. Want to sit and waste away. Wine to the rescue.
Good.
I know.
That's good.
I know.
All right, here's mine. Barreling down the river. Brilliant Bilbo saves the day. Once again.
Good. Lots of bees.
Lots of bees.
Mm-hmm. Could have used something about Bomber in there.
I thought about it. I almost put in Balin. Balin and Bomber. And
Balin.
Bofer.
Yep. Bifer, Bofer, Balin.
Yep. But I didn't want to get tongue-tied on air, so I.
Good.
kept it on the...
We had a correspondence from somebody who gave us a haiku.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's from... Where is it here? There we go. He just sent it recently. It is from Zach. Zach, he says, never tried to make a haiku before, and poetry my least favorite form of literature, but here's an effort, and thanks for all your hard work. John and Greta both, co-hosts of the Tolkien Road, thank you for your work.
That's
nice.
Terrific. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it. We appreciate your appreciation.
We really
and
do.
Holding your nose long enough to create a haiku, even though poetry is your least favorite form of literature.
Yes, that makes it all the more special.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so are we going to do Tolkien trailer now, or of course you want to do Tolkien trailers? Do Tolkien trailer, we do correspondence after that.
Then we'll wrap up with correspondence.
Right on. All right, here we go. We're going to watch it, and you'll hear the audio, but you can go find this thing. You should go watch it so you can see all the pretty visuals. Okay, can you see it okay?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Mm-hmm. Turn up the volume. There we go.
I'm Nicholas Holt.
And I'm Lily Collins. Take a look at the new trailer for our movie Tolkien, based on the life of the legendary author.
We're so grateful to be part of this project and can't wait for you to see it on the big screen.
Enjoy.
Thanks.
We will.
Or will we?
I hope we will.
Since childhood, I have been fascinated with language. I've invented my own.
You invented an entire language?
Yes. I made stories. Legends.
Tell me a story. In any language you want.
Tolkien! It's about journeys. The journeys we take to prove ourselves. It's about adventures.
We should form a club, a brotherhood.
Change the world through the power of art.
Music, poetry.
And what about Tolkien?
I want to write something.
It's about magic beyond anything anyone has ever felt before. What it means to love. To be loved.
War! England's at war!
Follow the rhythms of language. I have to tell you, Mr. Tolkien, I've never come across anything like it.
This is more than just a friendship. It's an alliance. An invincible alliance.
A fellowship.
All right, there you go. What'd you think, Greta?
Man, I got chills.
Oh yeah.
I even teared up a little bit.
Oh.
I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty excited for this now. I gotta say, it comes out May 10th. I think we'll definitely go see it.
Oh, you said the trailer came out. I thought you meant the movie came out a week ago, and I was gonna say, why haven't we seen it yet? Now it's making sense.
You thought it was a 2-minute long movie?
No, I thought when I asked if it had come out yet, I said it. Anyway, okay, so the movie is not out yet.
Oh, okay.
It's just the trailer that you were talking about.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Thanks for clarifying.
Okay, yeah, so it comes out May 10th.
May 10th.
And I think it looks pretty great.
I do too.
Now, we'll see. I need to it's important to me like that I don't get too caught up in like the because Hollywood's good at making things look pretty nowadays. Really good, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the music is very moving, but really, big thing is going to be, does it really do justice to who Tolkien was?
Mm-hmm.
And to that period of his life, how these biopics can sometimes take liberties
Yes.
for the sake of telling the story that they want to tell.
Right.
And so I'm suspending judgment. I'm cautiously optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll just see what happens. We'll see what we see.
Now, let me ask you this. Is this something like did they have to get the Tolkien estate seal of approval on this?
I don't know. That's a good question. I really do not know the answer to that.
Like, I can't imagine just as much control
Mm-hmm.
as the Tolkien estate wields over Tolkien's works,
Yeah.
that they would be okay with that. I feel like they should be.
I feel like at some point it's
say.
not. You're talking about you're talking more about a historical figure than you're talking about then you're not talking about a work he wrote per se, right? You're not
True.
You're not adapting
True.
a work he wrote per se,
Yeah.
right? You're adapting his life story, some
Mhm.
portion of his
Mhm.
life story,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So that's not really something that can be copyrighted, right? So there might be an issue if they make up a bunch of stuff that's just not true about him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
But it seems like they would want this. They would want the Tolkien estate behind this.
probably,
think?
probably, yeah.
I feel like it would just make sense from
But-
a business standpoint.
But that didn't stop Peter Jackson.
Well, I guess that is true. I guess that's true.
And so when there's money at stake, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. So I don't think there's a hard and fast rule that says they had to get the Tolkien estate's explicit permission to make his life story.
Yeah.
I just don't think it works that way.
It will be
So-
interesting to see, and I didn't see a whole lot of it in that particular trailer, but it will be interesting to see how much of his Catholic faith they put into the movie.
Yeah. Well, and you certainly don't see a whole lot of it so far. And not to say that it's got to be like every scene has to be explicitly Catholic.
No.
You and I are going to feel more strongly about that than a lot of people because we are Catholic. But the big thing, I will be interested to see how much they show. Like, do they show anything about his mother?
Mm-hmm.
Even though she died, it looks like this movie is taking place during the period of during basically the time frame of World War
Right
One,
before
right?
World War One.
Well, right before and during World War One. So, when he fought in World War One, he was in his mid-20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like there's also going to be some stuff from before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, will it connect any with his mother, who was a devout Catholic? Will it show his his foster father, the priest who basically raised him after his mother died?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to me.
It will be.
It'll be very interesting to me, and I feel like I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: like Tolkien, just like any person, right? With their faith, they probably go through times when they are more faithful and more devout, and times when they're less faithful and less devout. And I think maybe this time in his life wasn't necessarily. And again, I'm just going off of what I remember having read various biographies of him, but not in a while. So I feel like I need to go back and refresh and read whose biography, Humphrey Carpenter's biography of him, at least before I go see this movie. But it's certainly later in his life, his faith was hugely important to him.
Yeah.
But as we all know, especially when you're in your teens, even in your early 20s, young adulthood, you can sometimes be a little bit rebellious against the thing that you were brought up in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but at the same time, you go to war and and you become, war tends to make people
praying people out of most people.
tends to make you more of a praying person, and so that'll be interesting to see if that part of it falls in there. So more than anything, I just want it to be truthful. I just want it to tell the true story of his life, and I like the idea of spinning it, kind of like having it be sort of a biography of his imagination too, and of his creative kind of like the genesis of the story of Middle Earth.
Yes,
but I just want it to be true to the facts. I feel like it needs to start from the facts and show and really be true to the different aspects. And if his Catholic faith was important to this, don't minimize that just because you don't like that part of it, right?
Agreed.
Any more than you should make more of that, because if you were a Catholic filmmaker and you're like, well, we're going to make a film about Tolkien and we're just going to make him look as darn Catholic as possible, even if we're taking it too far, right? like that, you can err on both sides, and it's like, just tell the truth about his life.
Stick to the facts.
Because, like, if you believe, like, I'm Catholic because I believe it's true, right?
Yeah.
Not because it's pristine and because I need it embellished. I'm Catholic because I believe it's true.
Right.
And, like, that should be the basis for, like, the art we make, for the creativity we do, because we're trying to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so that's my biggest overall hope for it, is that it,
yes.
and so that's why I want to go back and read, a couple of good, reliable sources on this period of his life before I see the movie, so I can really judge well whether it does a good job of that. So, because it can look super pretty and all that good stuff, but if it's not faithful to who he was, then, it's not going to be a good film at the end of the day.
Well put.
All right. You're like, okay, John, shut up. All right.
Sorry I asked.
Oh, goodness. Forgot I can't get you going, man. All right. So, correspondence. So, we already read David's awesome note on Bilbo and Beren. So, thanks again for that, David.
Yes, thank you, David.
I wanted to read, so Zach, who I read his haiku earlier, he's from New Zealand. So, always cool to hear from somebody from New Zealand.
Definitely.
Started listening fairly recently and trying to catch up slowly. Currently in Book 5 of Lord of the Rings. I listen when I walk to work every day and around the house and enjoy the dynamic that exists between you two. Just wanted to let you know that I'm enjoying the show heaps and gaining a lot from it. As someone who grew up Protestant with a theological degree in Protestant traditions, I love the Catholic insights you give into Tolkien and his works that I didn't previously know or connect. An example being the important nature of March 25th. I'm hoping this email reaches you because I'm not sure if this is still your email address, as I'm quite a few episodes back. So, Zach from Middle Earth.
Terrific.
AKA New Zealand.
Yes. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thanks so much, Zach. Really appreciate hearing from you. And, hey, we're open to coming to visit you in New Zealand. I'm just saying, especially if you're buying the ticket. No, just kidding. I do really hope like one day we can get a chance to go to New Zealand. Not just because it's Middle Earth. That would be a cool part of it, but I've just always like New Zealand has always seemed like a really cool place to me. And by the way, I should say this. So we're recording this on the day. I don't know if because you don't really pay attention to the news like I do, but so there's awful news out of New Zealand last night where like some crazy guy shot up a couple of mosques in New Zealand, and there's like 45 people dead. So I just want to say like that's horrible, and I normally don't bring this kind of stuff up on the podcast, but it's the day it happened, and we just heard about somebody from New Zealand, and we were talking about religion too, and I just want to say like that is like this is horrible, and our prayers go out to those people, and just prayers for peace in the world amongst people of goodwill who are on the search for the truth.
Yes. And
of this, this existential reality we inhabit, trying to find our way in a world that's often very dark. There's just no room for that, that kind of hatred and for that kind of BS. And I just wanted to say a little word of solidarity, with the folks that this tragedy has struck, and with the people of New Zealand, and just that we're lifting up everybody in this tragedy in our prayers. So
yes.
So and just praying for peace in this world. So, all right. Well, Zach, once again, it's great to hear from you, and maybe a little timely in that fashion, given that particular part of it too. So. Take care of yourself, and we look forward to hearing from you again as you continue on the journey. So let's see here. We also had a note that, we had a note from, here we go. John R. He says, I have been listening since your Talking Tolkien days. Man. All right, early awesome. Listener. Yeah.
That's great.
He says, haha, keep up the great job, you two. John, especially your drive and motivation to get Tolkien's work out there is incredible. You deserve praise from all your listeners. Spreading the Tolkien road around everywhere I travel. No better Tolkien podcast.
Woo!
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I got to say, Greta's the one always cracking the whip on me. She's like, you need to be doing more stuff for Tolkien. So, it would not be happening if it weren't for her.
Well, thanks for the shout out. Can we just copy and paste that to iTunes?
Yeah, right. Just copy and paste it a million times.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thanks so much, John.
Yes,
it's great to hear
thank
from you,
you,
and,
John.
and please continue to keep in touch. Let's see. Bethany, who's also a longtime listener, she had some really nice things. She said, just finished catching up. She's one of our people who just pledged on Patreon. So thanks so much,
Awesome.
Bethany.
Thank you, Bethany.
She said, just finished catching up on some of your recent episodes and wanted to say what a great job you guys are doing, especially like the discussion on Gollum. It's very thought-provoking, and I always enjoy when you read from Tolkien's letters on the show. I agree it would be awesome to have a new theme song. I like the last one you played, definitely a Middle-earth vibe. Once again, keep up the good work. I enjoy the relaxed conversational style of your podcast. It reminds me of the way my fellow Tolkien enthusiasts have conversations about Tolkien. I always learn something, and you make me laugh at the same time. Blessings, Bethany.
Yay.
So
thank you.
thank you so much, Bethany. It's always great hearing from you.
Yes.
And let's see. We had a lot of correspondence between
That's
this time and
awesome.
last time. This one was cool. This is apparently from Andrew H. He says, I found your podcast about 6 months ago. I've been nostalgic and doing another read through. Your pod accompanies it. The last episode you mentioned you served on submarines. Then I remembered your name, and he asked if I was on a certain submarine during a certain time frame, and he says that was my first patrol. And it turns out, yeah, it was the same one. So former shipmate of mine.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we didn't know each other particularly well. We it sounds like he kind of showed up towards the end of my time on this particular submarine. And so didn't really get to know each other during that time. But regardless, it's always cool to hear, especially cool to hear from an old shipmate.
Yeah,
that's
that
always
is
really neat.
Really
So
neat. Yeah.
so great hearing from you, Andrew.
Yes.
And Andrew's also somebody who pledged for us. So really appreciate that.
Yay. Thanks,
So.
Andrew.
Thanks a lot. Great. Please keep in touch.
Yes.
And then just wanted to mention a couple of our latest awesome reviews. See, this is the thing. I only ever see the nice reviews from people on, coming through the Apple Podcasts. But apparently there's people out there who give us 1-star ratings. And I'm like, okay. I guess people are just like, listening. I am the Tolkien podcast critic. I am just going to listen to all the Tolkien podcasts out there and I'm going to rate them. And here we go. 1 star. 1 star, don't like you. You say, too much. Okay, 1 star for you. 1 star.
Yeah.
Well, it and I say that because it's like, there's a certain type of mentality out there that's just like I've got to give a grade to everything,
Yeah.
So
It's unfortunate. It
yeah.
really
Anyway,
is.
Greta's telling me to move it along.
Find better uses for your time. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
Right.
Let's the world would be such a better place if people would just spend their time doing nice things and saying nice things.
It would be, and we already preached our sermon on this early in the episode. So anyway, but we're going to read the nice things that people had to say about us, because those are the only things that people actually take the time to say, apparently. So one said, it's literally like meeting, joining, and sharing with you guys in the love and thrill of discovering Tolkien's unfolding world together. So
Yay.
that's an awesome one from 6 days ago.
Thank you.
And then a longer one here. I'll try to pull a couple of snippets from it. Hey guys, started listening to your show a few months ago for the Silmarillion podcast, and I'm excited to listen to the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit ones, and then even the miscellaneous ones after. I only wish I had started listening while you guys were recording so I could have tried my hand at some haikus and such. My first time through the Silmarillion was a real struggle, but was amazed at the story and background. Second time through was a little better, and third time even better. All in a matter of maybe 6 months. However, I don't think I'll ever enjoy the Lays of Beleriand chapter, but cannot bring myself to skip a single sentence. I understand how that is. I still don't have the names and timelines down. You two are entertaining to listen to, and I can relate to the whole rock, scissors, paper naming debate. Maybe record audiobooks of Tolkien if that's even allowed, and you run out of ideas. Would love to listen. Well, that's nice of you to say. I would love to be paid to do that, but yeah, that's not something unfortunately, that does fall into something that we could not just cavalierly be like, we're going to record audiobooks of these works because they're copyrighted works. Now, maybe when we're old and these are they're finally in the public domain, but who knows? I don't know. That might be a very long time. College kid, engineering, not English major, and listen to you guys on the bus to and from school daily. Awesome. As well as in the car on my long commutes home. Was glad to find you guys. You are rock stars. Party on and keep Finarfin. Remember that one?
That's a throwback.
Yeah, seriously. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you for your kind words. I really want to wrap up by just saying, I want to emphasize the positivity. and I think a majority of people are amazing people of goodwill who just, they want to be happy and they want to help other people be happy and be a source of joy and of happiness for other people too. And, that's really that's what we're about. That's why we're doing this podcast in the first place. We're not getting paid millions of bucks to do this podcast. We're just putting it out there for people who find that they like and join us, hearing us be blab on, you know, and just kind of be ourselves while we talk about Tolkien and find the joy together in this stuff. So we're glad that we have so many folks out there like that who are joining along with us.
Yes.
And, we're just very appreciative of you. And if we could meet every one of you in person and shake your hand and give you a big hug, we would.
Absolutely.
And, for those of you who, for whatever reason you don't like us and you managed to listen this far, hey, that's okay. You don't have to like us. Send us a note and let us know if there's ways we can improve. We're always open to those ideas. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that would be pretty amazing though if someone listened this far and didn't like us.
I'm just like,
maybe it's like
that's
Lenten
what's crazy
penance
to
or
me,
something.
right? I guess it's just people like listen to like 10 minutes and like, oh nope, not this one. 1 star for you, right? It's
the world we live in. It's just
funny to me that there are people out there like that.
Yeah.
That's
God
what they
makes
live
all
to
kinds. God makes all kinds.
do. He does.
All right.
God
I
love
think
you. God
we've,
love you, people. All
yes.
right. God bless you. All right. Thanks again to our patrons. Y'all rock. Al Taylor, Andrew Herbert, Andrew Thomas, Bethany Engler, Brian Orr, Kat Lane, Chris Loftus, Chuck Farnung, Daniel Delaney, David Bigwood, David Dickinson, Emilio Perea, Eric Bissett, Ish of the Hammer, James Applegate, James Lindberg, John Rice, Josh Sosa, Lawrence McGowan, Margaret Lyon, Matt Scarrance, Sarah Murphy, Shannon Stockbridge, Travis Lawheed, Dr. William Hutton, Zeke Farmer, and an anonymous admirer from Israel. So,
you guys are the best.
man, that list is getting long.
That's awesome.
But I want
love
to,
it.
I want to keep getting longer,
Yes,
right?
I
So
know. That's our goal. Yeah.
$1 per episode.
one.
That's all it takes. If everybody did it right now, you'd be getting weekly episodes. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Not a whole lot.
Patreon.com/TolkienRoad. All right. Peace
All
out,
right.
everybody. Hey, Greta, you got any final words for us?
No, I think
I need
that's a wrap.
to assign you to having a deep thought at the end of each episode to kind of like wrap things up for us.
A deep thought.
Yeah.
Like a Jack Candy.
Yeah.
Is it Jack Candy or John Candy?
John Candy was the act was like
this is
John Candy was Chris Farley before Chris Farley.
Oh, right.
And Jack Handy is the deep
Jack
thoughts
Candy.
guy.
That's right. Okay.
So
all right, maybe I'll get to work on that for next time.
right on.
Okay.
Oh, that's a new good thing.
Okay.
I like that idea.
All right.
All right. There we go. There's that sound.
The one you've all been waiting for.
The production quality is astounding on this show.
We're gonna stop blabbing and play the music.
Never. We're just gonna keep talking
We're gonna
forever.
keep going. We love the sound
We're
of our
just gonna
voices.
talk right on through. Cause
We're gonna talk so loud you can't even really hear the music.
you're just gonna be like, "Would you please shut up already?" Or not?
Just let me listen to the music.
Oh, because everybody loves.
Everybody
the
loves
Tolkien Road theme song.
Oh, wait, that's the same theme song from the beginning?
Oh wait, it's continuing over into. All right.
It's the episode that never ends.
It just went right on through the theme
Went
song,
Right on through.
the closing
Is
credits
that
song.
a sign that we're just supposed to keep going?
This is like in the Marvel movies when they have the scene after
That's right.
after the credits,
Like the teaser.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So do we need to come up with a teaser for next time? What is next time?
Next time is the next chapter in The Hobbit,
Which is
chapter 10,
chapter 10.
the chapter after Barrel's out of bond.
And we're going to do the whole episode
A
talking
warm
about this.
welcome. Talk at you next time, people.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.